Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Jessica if you are. Thank you so much for clicking on this video today. Today is my Pan Those Eyeshadows update for July of 2024, and I have some exciting updates this month. If you are new to this project, welcome. It's a really fun way to pan eyeshadows, to focus on your eyeshadow collection, and to try and get use of the things that you already own and love, and not be so tempted to buy new things that you probably don't need. That's at least the base of my channel around here. This project was created years ago by a YouTuber named Alexi, and I've been doing it now for 4 years. This is my 4th year, and I love it so much. It's what got me into panning, and I just think it's such a fun way to get use on eyeshadows and also to push your creativity, create looks that you might otherwise not have created, and reach for eyeshadows that have been neglected in the past. So I have 4 eyeshadows that I'm working on at all times. I'm trying to hit pan on all of these eyeshadows, but if I use it 30 times over the course of at least 3 months and I still have not hit pan, I do allow myself to roll out that eyeshadow and bring in something new to keep this project a little bit more fresh. This year I'm utilizing 2 different ways to select my eyeshadow shades to work on. Half of them I am randomly selecting using a random generator that has all of my eyeshadow palettes in it, and then I select a random number from the number of shades in that palette. And for the other half I use Lainey's Prompts, who is another YouTuber here that does pan those eyeshadows, and she created a whole list of prompts. I believe there are 100 prompts to choose from to help you to select your own eyeshadow shade using one of those prompts. So using her prompts to select your own gives you a little bit more control and choice over what your color palette is that you're working on. And I'm really enjoying the combination of the two, where I have 2 that are random and 2 that I can select to kind of hone something that just fits a little bit more easily into my panning lifestyle for that time. I have to address very quickly my hair. This is not my natural hair. You might be thinking it looks a little bit different. That's because it is. I did put in some hair extensions. I just received them in the mail from Amazon. I'll go ahead and link the ones that I purchased from Amazon down below because they are really nice, good quality, not the cheapest. I should have waited for them to have a sale on these extensions, but I really wanted them for Las Vegas. I'm going to Las Vegas this weekend, and you know, it's just fun to get a little bit extra dressed up in Las Vegas. I already had some hair extensions, but they were a much darker brown color, closer to my natural color, and they're also pretty short. I love wearing extensions just to add volume to the hair and make it look more thick. That is kind of what I used my last extensions for. I bought them for my wedding actually, and they were perfect for just kind of bulking up my updo and just making it look a little bit more, you know, regal on the top of my head. But since I've bleached my hair so blonde, this is the blondest I've ever been, I wanted to get some blonde highlights to go with my blonde look. So I splurged. My sister recommended these extensions from Amazon. She had just purchased them and liked them. So I decided to give them a try and treat myself to my Vegas vacation, and picked up 20-inch blonde extensions, and I'm really loving them. They are so long. I probably could have gotten away with the 18-inch, but you know, I really wanted these extensions to not only add volume, but to add length and just give that extra oomph of glamour to a look. So that is what I'm wearing today. I just got them. I was excited to put them on. I wanted to try them on, make sure they match. So I put them on, and then it was time for me to film this video. So hey, I'm not going to be wearing these on a regular basis, but it's just kind of fun to dress up a little bit during my summer break, chilling at home with, you know, my moo-moo on. And as soon as I'm done filming this video, I'm gonna take off this makeup, take off these extensions, and go and hang out in my girlfriend's pool because it is going to be 100 degrees today and it's heating up fast. So I'm gonna try and get this video filmed and get out the doors so that we can enjoy this beautiful summer weather. Summer has been so blissful. I am thriving, and although it has been a very fun summer, it's kind of been getting in the way of some of my panning goals because I've been traveling a lot. I went to Orlando for 2 weeks and went to Walt Disney World, and I didn't bring any of my Pan Those Eyeshadows palettes with me. And then I also have been spending a lot of time at my new cabin where I'm not really wanting to wear makeup. I'm on the water, I'm enjoying the nature, so not a lot of makeup wearing then. And then, you know, also flying a lot, traveling a lot. I just went to Los Angeles with my sister to visit my cousin and didn't bring all of my makeup palettes with me then. And I also wasn't really doing my makeup on those travel days, you know, where I'm just like on a plane and then sleeping and hanging around. So all that to say, I don't have as much progress on my eyeshadows that I hoped I would have, but I still have some great things to update you on. So let's get into those updates without any further ado. Starting off with the eyeshadow that's been in this project the longest. For 4 months now, I've been working on a matte pink shade in my Take Me Back to Brazil palette, and I'm just calling this shade pink because these shades do not have names. So here is a little swatch of pink. It's a really pretty bubblegum pink shade. It's been really easy to blend in with neutrals and wear by itself. As you all know, I have been rocking a ton of pink looks over the past several months, over the past 6 months really. So this one has contributed to that, and I don't know what I was thinking bringing another pink on top of all of the pinks that are in my Pan That palette, but c'est la vie. I like to torture myself just a little bit. So here's what the shade was looking like when I first brought it into the project. It didn't have a lot of use on it at that time. I reached for it 6 times during the first month. Here's what it was looking like after those 6 uses. In the second month, I reached for it 7 times, making for 13 uses total, and it was looking like this. And then in the third month, I reached for an additional 8 times, making for 21 uses total, and here's what it was looking like last month. It had that big old dip in it. And in the fourth month, I reached for it 2 more times, making for 23 uses total, and here is pink today. And as you can see, those 2 more uses got me a nice juicy pan. I knew that pan was coming. I knew that it was only going to take me a couple more uses to get there, and I kept it in all the same because I wanted to have a little bit of a gimme this month. I've just been panning so many things, so many pinks, that I knew having something that was just easy to attain and then I could focus on all the other shades that I'm working on would be a good choice for me, especially for these summer months. So I'm so happy to have a pan on this. I now have quite a few pans on this palette. 6 out of 35, not bad, but this is such a great colorful palette. It's great for play makeup. This is not something I'm going to say is great quality or great pigmentation or the best thing you're ever going to use, but for the amount of colors you get in here and for the number of times that I've used this palette, I've definitely got my money's worth. I think it was like a $15 palette, and I really enjoyed having it around. It's something that I have thought about decluttering a few times, but it's just such a good go-to when I want a colorful look that I have such a variety of colors to reach for. It's good to have in my collection just when I might need something like that. So this one is rolling out. I'm super happy to have another pan on it, and that means there will be a new one rolling in. This was a shade that was randomly generated, so I'll be randomly generating a shade to replace this one. The next shade comes from my ABH Norvina palette, and I've been working on this shade for 3 months. It is a kind of mid-toned, neutral brown shade called Incense. There's Incense in the swatch, and this has been such an easy go-to shade to reach for. Nothing difficult. Don't even have to think about it when I use it. It pairs with most any neutral lid shade that I want to use it for. I do have this shade in my look today as my first transition shade, and we have been working on this for a solid 3 months. So here's what it was looking like when I first brought it into the project. Not a lot of use on it, not a lot of use on this palette in general. I reached for it 13 times during the first month. Here's what it was looking like then. In the second month, I reached for it 10 additional times, making for 23 uses total, and here's what it was looking like last month. And then this month, I reached for it 7 additional times, making for 30 uses total, and here is Incense today. And as you can see, we are nowhere near a pan. From month to month, even after those big jumps of 13 and 10 uses each month, you could hardly tell any amount of difference in that pan. It's only been in the past 7 uses that I've been able to see a dip starting to form, but I have hit my 30 use goal over a 3-month period. I'm nowhere near to pan. I am going to roll this one out just because I'm panning other browns in my Pan That palette. I don't need to torture myself with this one. I got some good use on it. It was great having this palette out. It was a really fun springtime palette to have on my vanity, but I am going to roll it out and bring in something new. This shade as well was something that I randomly generated, so I will again be randomly generating another shade to replace it in just a moment. Very excited about that. Happy this palette got used. It's a gorgeous palette. It needs more love, but that love is going to come later because this one's rolling out. These next 2 shades rolled in just last month, so I'll go ahead and spoil it for you right now. They're both going to stay in, but I did get a few uses on them all the same, even though I was kind of focusing on the other 2 shades, trying to get those ones finished up and used out, as well as my Pan That palette is always stealing my attention. The first shade comes from my Give Me Glow Pastel Dreams palette, and it is the shade Lavender Sky. I got to select this shade. I believe it was a shade that starts with the letter L from Lainey's Prompts. So Lavender Sky is, you know, you would think it's a beautiful lavender shade, and it is. Here's what it looks like in the swatch, but as you can tell, it kind of has like a peachy gold reflect, which does really take away from the lavender when you see it on the eye. It doesn't tend to scream lavender at all. I have it on my lid, all over my lid today. It's the only shade that I have on my lid, and because I paired it with a neutral shade, I believe I have Incense on the lid and then a kind of a pinky shade similar to pink from BH Cosmetics, but a different pink all throughout the inner corner, and then I topped it with Lavender Sky. I think you can really see it pull those more neutral peachy tones. The lavender is not really singing in my opinion. Maybe it will look different on the camera. I can't really look at it while I'm filming it, but let me know what you think. All the same, it's still a beautiful shade. It's just not the lavender that I wish that it would be, but we're still having fun reaching for it. So here's what Lavender Sky was looking like when I first brought it into the project last month. I was only able to reach for it 4 times this past month, and here's what it's looking like today after those 4 uses. And I think you'll still see a slight dip starting to form even with just 4 uses. These eyeshadows are quite soft, so you really do see a lot of damage from just one time dipping in there. I don't think this pan's gonna come easy, but I'm going to enjoy the process all the same. It's been really fun to have this colorful palette out. I need to utilize it more during these summer months when I'm not in school and I want to play more with color. I need to reach for more of these shades in here and just have more fun with it. It's hard to do when I'm focusing on so many other eyeshadow shades, but I'm having fun with all my painting projects. No complaining here, just kind of thinking out loud. I'm hoping to reach for this more than 4 times in the past month. I tend to put more focus on the older eyeshadows as we move through this project. So with that type of focus, I'm hoping to reach for this between 8 to 10 times before the next update and hopefully have a nice dip to share with you by then. But for now, this one's just gonna stay in, and that brings us to our last shadow. And last but not least is this beautiful purple shimmer. This comes from my Viseart Theory palette. This is the Theory palette in the shade Amethyst, and this was for one of Lainey's prompts that was a monochromatic palette. So I went through and selected some of my monochromatic palettes. I had a purple one, I have a blue one, a green one, and a yellow one, and I think that was kind of exhausting my list. And I've just been in the mood for purple. I had another purple in this project, so I thought I would reach for my purple monochromatic palette, and I got to choose any shade I wanted. So since I already had 2 mattes, I decided to reach for another shimmer to balance things out. So I decided to reach for this beautiful, beautiful deep purple shimmer. Such a gorgeous shade. Here's what this shade was looking like when I first brought it into the project last month. Just like Lavender Sky, I was able to reach for it 4 times, and here's what it's looking like today. And this one also has starting to see a little bit of a dip. I feel like it already had a small dip when I first brought it in, but that dip is just a little bit more deeper and pronounced, but not by far. I'm really gonna have to make an effort to reach for this one on a regular basis. I can make it quite neutral if I just put it in the outer corner of a look and blend it into a more light lid color or a more neutral eye. So I'm just gonna have to remember to reach for it that way if we are going to have any hope of hitting pan on this by the 3-month mark. Otherwise, this might be another 4-monther, and I would really like to try and avoid that. I want to keep things moving in this project, reach for as many things in my collection as possible during the course of the year, and neutralizing these more colorful shades is going to help me to get there. But again, we are in summer. I should have fun with my colors, do a really fun purple look a couple times a week, and just really get some good use on this shade and have some fun playing with eyeshadows. So this one as well is staying in. So we have 2 staying in, 2 rolling out, and I'm very excited to see what those shades are going to be, especially because it's going to be random. I have no control over this, which is a little bit scary, but also exciting. But before I'm going to bring in those shades, let's talk about pan percentage. So my gauge for this project and how well I'm doing is by measuring my pan percentage. So I take all of the eyeshadow shades in my collection, and then I see how many of them have pan on them, and then that gives me my pan percentage. At the beginning of the year, I had pan on 68 of my 435 eyeshadows, and my pan percentage was 15.63%. As of last month, we were up to 18.39% with pan on 80 out of my 435 eyeshadows. And in the past month, I've hit 3 new pans, 1 in this project from my Take Me Back to Brazil palette, and then 2 pans from my Pan That Palette project, which I will link up here in the cards if you want to see those pans over there. So I now have pan on 83 of my 435 eyeshadows, which brings my pan percentage up to 19.08%. My overall goal for this year is to try and hit 21 or 22% is like my loose goal. I want to at least exceed 20%, which I already know is going to happen, but I would love it if I could get close to 25% or in like the mid 22 to 23 range. I know it's like such a weird arbitrary goal. It's just kind of fun for me to see my percentages increase, and it's a great way for me to know that I'm using my collection and enjoying my collection, and it really has worked for me. I think I've only purchased like 1 or 2 eyeshadow palettes in the past 2 years, and I don't really want for them anymore because I'm really enjoying my collection and getting so much use on it and enjoying panning it and creating these videos for all of you. I'm going to share a couple of my most notable eyeshadow looks that I created using these eyeshadows over the past month, but I will be honest, I did not take very many pictures. I only have 3 eyeshadow looks to share with you, and that's just because, again, I've been traveling, having a good time, not really thinking so much about makeup or panning, but you know, we all need a little bit of a break sometimes. So you won't be shocked to see that some of these are pink and purple looks. So this one is a pink look that I created, definitely with pink from BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil all through the crease, and then I believe I also have the purple shade in here on the outer corner to kind of deepen it up a little bit and add a little bit more purple glow to it. And then this next look is one of my favorites that I created. I kind of mixed some neutral tones with some more pink rose gold tones and that purple shade. So I have Incense all throughout the crease, and then I have the shade from the Amethyst Theory palette on the outer corner, that purple shimmer, and then on the inner part of that lid is actually Thrill from the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. But I really love this look. I thought it was really pretty and I felt good in it. And then this last look that I have to share with you is another purple look. This one has Lover from my Pan That palette all through the crease. It has the purple shimmer from the Amethyst palette on the outer part of the lid, and then it also has Lavender Sky all through the inner part of the lid. And you can kind of notice that when I'm pairing Lavender Sky here with those more purpley tones, it does pull a little bit more purple, but you can still see it kind of has that golden shift and kind of takes away from that lavender essence, I believe, when it's on the eyelid. Still a beautiful shade again, but I'm just gonna keep complaining about that as long as this shadow is in the project, because it was ultimately quite a disappointment for me when I received that palette in the mail. I was so excited for that palette, so excited for all the shades, and so excited for that shade in particular because I love purples. So as you can see, I still haven't gone over it. So now it is time to randomly select 2 new shades into my project. So let me grab my iPad and my little random generator app and get those started. I forgot that I'm actually able to use my iPhone for this now because I have an actual filming camera for my videos. So my iPad, my cumbersome iPad, can sit out of this one. So I have all of my eyeshadow palettes put into this wheel here on the Tiny Decisions app. I do have a few of the eyeshadow palettes blocked out, the Pastel Dreams palette and the Viseart palette since they're already in this project, as well as my Dream palette since that's in another project, as well as the El Jalapeno palette that I'm working on in my Project Level Up, which yes, I am still working on that. Again, it's my back burner project. I haven't forgotten about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and randomly generate 2 eyeshadow palettes and then 2 shades from those eyeshadow palettes right now. I also have my potted singles and my Z palettes in there. Everything's accounted for in this little guy. Okay, the ABH Sultry palette. That's a fun one. One I haven't reached for in a long time, full of neutrals, a lot of browns. I hope it doesn't compete too much with my Pan That palette, but we'll see what comes. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do the second one as well. And let's see what comes up. Oh my gosh, the ABH Soft Glam. How funny. It's an ABH party. Neutrals. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not gonna complain about that. Let's go ahead and grab for those palettes. Here we have the Sultry palette, and here is that Soft Glam. This is actually good. Both of these palettes have been quite neglected for quite some time, and they could use some new pans. So each of them have 14 shades. Here's what my Sultry palette's looking like today. We already have pan on Fresh, Birch, and Teak, which I believe all of those, at least these 2, came from Pan Those Eyeshadows, and this one probably just came on its own. There's probably a little surprise pan. So that means of these 14 shades, 11 of them are eligible to be rolled in. I'll be honest, if I roll in that brown or that black, I'm probably gonna re-roll, but any of these shimmers could be a possibility. I'm just hoping for the best. I'm not gonna think too much about it. All right, so we've got the numbers 1 through 11 there. Let's see what comes up. I'm nervous. Number 5. Okay, that brings us to, we're skipping over the ones with pan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bloom. Oh my goodness. Another pink. Honestly, that's probably the best case scenario. It's the most different from any of the shades in my Pan That palette. It's not going to compete with any of those deep pinks, but it's going to pair nicely with them. And it's going to be a little bit of a headache to try and hit pan on that one, but it's one that I can definitely sheer out, make it more neutral. Let me swatch a little Bloom for you. It's also a shade that I can get to be quite pink and colorful. You've got to be kidding me. Look at it next to pink that I just rolled out. Oh gosh. The panning gods have a sense of humor. That is for sure. It's random. What are you gonna do? I'm not gonna veto it. We're just gonna go with it. We're gonna have fun with this project and more pink. Pink, 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 pink. The year of pinks. I've had my year of blues. I've had many times with blue, and this is my time with pink. So it's not the worst color in the world. Let's just move on. I have to keep going or else I'm gonna cry. So the next one from the Soft Glam palette, I also have a few pans in here, only 2 though. So similar, I have a pan in that cream colored matte shade, Tempera, and then I also have a pan in Sultry, which I believe this came from a Pan Those Eyeshadows series as well. So of the 14 shades, we have 12 that are eligible. Sorry, it's like so blown out. There we go. Now you can kind of see the colors. 12 to be rolled in. Kind of similar story here. Some of these might compete with Pan Those Eyeshadows. Let's just see what happens. Hoping for the best, and you know, I'm just along for the ride here. So we're gonna put in the numbers 1 through 12. Okay, we've got 1 through 12, and let's see what number comes in. Here we go. Hoping for the best. I want a shimmer, please. Number 3. Okay, number 3. Ask and you shall receive. All right, 1, 2, 3. Rose pink. Rose pink is quite similar to a shade in my Pan Those Eyeshadows, Dream Girl. Can't decide if I want to bring that in. Dream Girl is a little bit more peachy toned and Rose Pink is a little bit more, you know, rosy pink. I'm actually going to keep it in. I'm going to go with Rose Pink even though they are quite similar. I've been using a Dream Girl a lot as a blush and I can get enough use on it using it that way while Rose Pink is in the project. And it's such a pretty shade and these shimmers are not too hard to hit pan on. So there are the 2 shades that are coming in. So pretty together. And there are the 4 shades all together. What a beautiful color palette. Pink and purple. Cannot go wrong there. I'm so excited to get started working on these 4 shades. There is definitely some repetition happening this year with all of the pinks, but it's definitely a color that I enjoy wearing, so there are worse things to happen. It's just so fun kind of randomizing this project, seeing what the panning gods have in store for me, and just going with the flow and pushing my pink and purple creativity a little bit further in the next few months. So that's all for my Pan Those Eyeshadows update. I really hope you enjoyed it. I am dying in the heat under these lights and with these extensions and with this makeup, so it's time for me to head to the pool. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a quick thumbs up before you leave. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you stick around and leave a comment down below. I love hearing from you. What should I do with these 4 shades? Give me some inspiration. You all have great ideas. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate you so much. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world that this video finds you. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. But until then, take care. Bye.